Hello, thank you for joining us today. My name is Andrew Phillip, and I am the proud president at Neo City Academy's Red Cross Club, and I'm joined today by my team of officers at the Neo City Academy Red Cross Club. We are proud to be here to represent your American Red Cross. I say your American Red Cross because this organization belongs to each and every one of you. It's there for you whether you need help or you want to give help to others in need. It's a place where a total stranger will give you shelter from a storm, a word of comfort in a crisis, or even help save your life. Whenever we tell people we're with the American Red Cross, they often tell us a story about how the Red Cross has touched their lives or the life of a friend or family member. This is your team. Linda Collis is our Regional Youth and Young Adult Engagement Lead. Donna Anhert is our Regional Youth and Young Adult Onboarding Lead. And Carrie Wente is Senior Engagement Specialist overseeing the Youth and Young Adult program. Here are your club coordinators. The American Red Cross prevents and alleviates human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. There's some key words to point out here, so let's look at them. Prevent. We not only respond to disasters, we prevent and prepare for emergencies. Human. We help everyone with no distinction for certain groups. Volunteers. We are a volunteer lead organization. 95% of the work we do is done by volunteers just like you. Donors. We are not government funded and rely on the gifts of the American people to help those in need. Clara Barton and a circle of her acquaintances founded the American Red Cross in Washington, D.C. on May 21, 1881. Barron first heard of the Swiss-inspired Global Red Cross Network while visiting Europe following the Civil War. Returning home, she campaigned for an American Red Cross and for ratification of the Geneva Convention protecting the war-injured, which the United States ratified in 1882. In 2017, our local chapters, along with countless other chapters in the United States, celebrated 100 years of service. Most chapters were formed shortly after the start of World War I. For example, the Daytona Beach Red Cross chapter was chartered on September 11, 1917. Today, we are part of the largest humanitarian network in the world called the International Red Cross and the Red Crescent Movement, with societies in more than 189 countries and more than 100 million volunteers, members, and employees worldwide. You may notice that there are 3 symbols pictured here. A country can use any of the emblems: the Red Cross, the Red Crescent, started in 1929, or the Red Crystal, starting in 2005, alone or in any combination, to identify themselves as part of the International Red Cross Society. They can use them in a manner that best suits their needs and culture, and in doing so, protect themselves from attack. For example, the American Red Cross Society chooses the Red Cross symbol, just like the American Egyptian Society chooses the Red Crescent, and Israel as a society chooses the Red Crystal. There are 7 principles of the International Red Cross and Red Crescent Network. The first is humanity. The International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement, born of a desire to bring assistance without discrimination to the wounded on the battlefield, endeavors in its international and national capacity to prevent and alleviate human suffering wherever it may be found. Its purpose is to protect life and health and to ensure respect for the human being. The second principle is impartiality. It makes no discrimination as to nationality, race, religious beliefs, class, or political opinions. It endeavors to relieve the suffering of individuals, being guided solely by their needs and to give priority to the most urgent cases of distress. The third principle is neutrality. In order to continue to enjoy the confidence of all, the movement may not take sides in hostilities or engage at any time in controversies of political, racial, religious, or ideological nature. The fourth principle is independence. The movement is independent. The national societies, while luxurious in their humanitarian services of their governments and subject to the laws of their respective countries, must always maintain their autonomy so that they may be able at all times to act in accordance with the principles of the movement. The fifth principle is voluntary service. It is a voluntary movement, not prompted in any manner by desire for gain. The sixth principle is unity. There can only be one Red Cross or Red Crescent Society in any one country. It must be open to all. It must carry on its humanitarian work throughout its territory. The seventh principle is universality. The International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement, in which all societies have equal status and share equal responsibilities and duties in helping each other, is worldwide.
Hello, my name is Aria Stanton, and I am Vice President at Neo City Academy's Red Cross Club. This is your Red Cross Orientation Section 2. Red Cross offers many services to communities around the world. We will go through some of them in more detail coming up. The Red Cross supplies 40% of the nation's blood supply. However, we do not currently collect blood in the state of Florida. The dark areas on the map show where there are blood regions across the country. There is still Red Cross blood in hospitals in Florida, and some testing is done, but we currently do not collect blood here. However, Red Cross is currently the leader for collecting COVID-19 convalescent plasma. Locally, we partner with OneBlood, which holds blood drives in the Central Florida region. If you meet the requirements, you are eligible to donate every 56 days at a OneBlood site, and it counts as 1 hour of volunteer time plus travel time. Emergencies come in many shapes and sizes. While it is impossible to control every outcome, education and planning can help you feel more confident that you and your loved ones will have the skills needed to cope. For example, preparedness, health and safety services, or Red Cross training in first aid, CPR, AED, babysitting, lifeguard, hurricane preparedness, etc. are a few of the programs we offer here in the CF and USVI region. Pictured here are Polk County citizens learning first aid and CPR skills. Locally, we aren't currently recruiting for health and safety instructors as the Red Cross focuses on engaging the volunteer instructors it currently has. Later on, we will discuss a great volunteer opportunity to teach compression only or citizen CPR.
Hello, my name is Braden Winter, and I am the volunteer coordinator for the New York City American Red Cross Club. This is Section 3. We provide humanitarian aid down the street, across the country, and around the world. For international disasters, all Red Cross societies utilize local volunteers to reduce the cost and have volunteers who are already knowledgeable about the culture, area, and the language. Volunteers that are deeply deployed internationally from the American Red Cross are limited. They would be highly specialized in subject matters for whatever the specific relief operation needs. For restoring family links, caseworkers help families locate missing relatives separated by armed conflict. Once we had a large push to help Holocaust survivors find answers, but those requests have dwindled. But each year, the American Red Cross helps reconnect more than 1,000 families separated by war and disaster around the world. We will again be doing a large push to help the Afghani refugees reunite with loved ones. For the measles and the rubella initiative, since 2001, the initiative has supported 80 countries to deliver more than 2 billion doses of measles vaccines, with the result that measles deaths have been reduced by 79%. There is more work to be done as more as 330 children still die each day from the preventable disease. Typically, our high school and college Red Cross clubs participate in this initiative. For exploring humanitarian law, we offer presentations to groups to educate them in international humanitarian law, which states that even war has rules. Youth and college clubs can take the training and become international humanitarian law advocates and can choose to create a youth action campaign to educate their peers. The American Red Cross is the only organization chartered by the government to relay emergency communications to military members. We verify information, send the message, and follow up with the families to connect them to local resources. Every year, we participate in several programs supporting our military. Pictured is our annual golf tournament that is hosted in Orange County. The Central Florida region of the American Red Cross provides disaster response services to 19 countries, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Red Cross Disaster Relief focuses on meeting people's immediate emergency needs, enabling those affected to get back on their feet. In addition, our services are intended to help people cope with the shock and stress of the event and to plan their recovery from the disaster. While hurricanes and floods usually grab the headlines, home fires are the number one event our disaster services volunteers respond to within our 19-county region, around 3 fires a day. When a fire or the disaster occurs, our disaster action teams are on the scene quickly, providing individuals and families with emergency services. This includes warm meals, a place to sleep, clothing, and comfort. The Red Cross also feeds emergency workers, handles inquiries from concerned family members outside the disaster area, and helps those affected by the disaster to access other available resources. All of this disaster assistance is free. As the Central Florida and U.S. 6th region encompasses 19 counties from coast to coast and the U.S. Virgin Islands, we are organized into 6 chapters indicated by the different colored outlines. You can see our locations of our offices around the region. Although we have different chapters, we respond as one Red Cross. This is why we merged as one region to be able to respond across Central Florida and the 6th. Later on, when we talk about different volunteer and training opportunities, you'll see you have the option to work and to learn from each other.
Hello, my name is Madison Taff, and I'm going to be going over section 4 of the slides. I am a secretary at the Neo City Academy American Red Cross Club. Immediate needs. People affected by disaster whose homes have been damaged or destroyed have physical needs of food, water, and a place to sleep. In addition to physical requirements, people have an emotional need to feel safe, to have someone ask about their well-being, and to have someone listen to them. Once immediate needs of food, water, and shelter are met, they need information to help them plan their recovery. During the recovery period, information about where to obtain assistance should be provided. Home fires may be our most common response, but we need to be ready for large-scale events as well. These 5 key activities must be considered at the beginning of every regional response larger than a DAT call. Sheltering. Opening and operating facilities that can shelter 50 to 5,000 clients using COVID-19 safety measures. Feeding. Feeding clients 3 meals a day each, plus snacks and beverages within shelters or wherever they are, from mobile feeding trucks to non-congregate sheltering. Information reporting and disaster assessment, external relations. Staff each county and state emergency operations center that has been fully activated. Coordinate with local partners and government agencies. Community partnerships. Work with civic, nonprofit, and faith-based groups to coordinate responses. For example, Southern Baptists prepare food in mobile kitchens for the Red Cross to distribute in ERVs, emergency response vehicles. These kitchens can produce 5,000 to 10,000 meals per day. Public affairs and fundraising. Volunteers with prior experience in public affairs can interview to become our Red Cross ambassadors in the community. These events can be anything from a tabling event, fact fairs, to a public speaking engagement. This is a sample of the volunteer opportunities available for adult Red Cross volunteers.
Hello, my name is Julia Barbara, and I'm the creative director for the Neo City Academy Red Cross Club. This slide represents the opportunities that youth volunteers can do. Notice some of them do have age requirements, and sometimes, although you cannot present when younger than the age requirement, you can be an assistant to the presenter. If you wish to deploy, you'll need a GAP or group activity position. For example, mass care would be the group, sheltering would be the activity, and service associate would be the position. After discussing which role you'd like, you would complete the necessary training and the appropriate GAP would be added to your volunteer connection. You can deploy in a lot of the areas we've already talked about: health services, logistics, staff services, sheltering, ERV driving, and more. Then you will be required to keep your availability up to date in volunteer connection by indicating when you would be willing and able to deploy. If you have your availability as open and have a GAP that is needed, the Red Cross will contact you and ask if you are ready. You'll leave within 24 hours once you agree to go and deploy for the minimum number of days, depending upon the deployment. You typically work 12-hour shifts while you're deployed, but staff on site helps to set schedules so you have a day off when you need it. Deployments can be in your county or chapter, in the region, in all 19 counties. We may ask you to be available for up to 5 days, but with 2 to 3 days the minimum. In the state, 10 to 14 days and 10 days minimum. The United States, likely 2 weeks are required, and maybe up to 3 weeks. The Red Cross provides airfare, sleeping accommodations, often staff shelters and not hotels, and money for food while you are deployed. There are 4 areas where you could develop your leadership skills while being a Red Cross Youth Club member. Last year, there were 6 Youth Action Campaign Advocate leads in the region, and 2 years ago, 1 student served on the National Youth Advisory Council from this region. Maybe this year we could submit an applicant for the National Collegiate Assembly.
Hi, my name is Kezia Lucas, and I'm the treasurer of the Neo City Red Cross Club, and I'll be doing Section 5 of the volunteer training. The Red Cross pre-positions volunteers, shelter supplies, and 60,000 ready-to-eat meals where they are needed in advance of the hurricane's predicted path. Even during the COVID pandemic, over 720 trained Red Cross disaster workers were and are ready to support shelters and emergency relief efforts on the ground or virtually. The Red Cross work continues to focus on making sure people have a safe place to stay, food to eat, emotional support, spiritual care, and other assistance to help in their recovery. Even 2 years after Hurricane Irma, we were able, through the generosity of the American public, to locate and assist those affected by the storm that had not yet been able to recover from their loss. This was still happening in Louisiana, Texas, and the U.S. for well into next year. Be sure to like the Red Cross Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Search for the free emergency app in Apple or Google Play stores. This app combines weather alerts from 35 different disasters, and you can choose multiple locations to be alerted to, so you can warn your family and friends of danger. These are common activities the CEF and USVI youth and adult clubs, college age, have chosen to do in the past. At this point, you can ask your regional coordinator for any questions.
As a Red Cross youth volunteer, tracking hours is very important and can be done through Volunteer Connection by logging into Volunteer Connection and scrolling to the Enter Hours section. You can then click Add Hours to add your hours and fill out the appropriate information, your activity, the position that you hold, the hours type, which will always be worked as a Red Cross youth volunteer, the hours/minutes, and the date of the volunteering event. Your club's group share calendar can be accessed by clicking My Groups and clicking the appropriate group. This will open up this display in which you can press My Calendar. The calendar will open up the club's group share and will show the relevant events for your club.
International Humanitarian Law and Youth Action Campaign training is coming soon. Go to My Shifts in Volunteer Connections, scroll down to Youth and Young Adult Red Cross Clubs, and click and you can sign on the youth calendar. There will be an in-person all-day training at Tampa, October 15th, Orlando, October 16th, Space Coast North, October 22nd, and Brevard, Space Coast South, October 23rd, as well as virtual training session, which have several dates. A flyer will come out soon.
Thank you for taking the time to complete the Youth Volunteer Orientation with the American Red Cross. We look forward to working with you soon. If you have any questions, you can get in contact with any of the on-screen contacts.